On behalf of Conflict and Resilience Research Institute, I welcome all of you to today's special webinar on International Mother Language Day. As a tradition, before we go into our session, we do treaty acknowledgement. Conflict and Resilience Research Institute Canada is located on original lands of Anishinaabe, Cree, Oji-Cree, Dakota, and Dene peoples, and on the homeland of Métis Nation. We respect the treaties that were made on these territories. We acknowledge the harm and mistakes of the past, and we dedicate ourselves to move forward in partnership with Indigenous communities in a spirit of reconciliation and collaboration. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a special webinar to commemorate a special day in the history of Bangladesh, its citizens, and worldwide. But before we begin, with sadness in our heart, I would like to propose a minute of silence for the loss of three Bangladeshi students, namely Raisul Badhon, Al Noman Aditya, and Aranya Azad Chaudhry. And I would like to propose a minute of silence, as I said, and when we observe the silence, we remember their memories and celebrate their lives with us. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, and dear audience, the overarching theme of our discussion today is how do we contribute to developing and sustaining inclusive society through multilingualism. As you all know, the idea to celebrate International Mother Language Day was the initiative of Bangladesh, where in 1952, citizens had to sacrifice their lives to establish their rights to speak in their chosen language. We pay homage to the language martyrs today, and it was approved at the 1999 UNESCO General Conference, and it is observed throughout the world since 2000. And this is the 22nd anniversary of the day. At this point in time, let me share with you the most inspiring 21st February theme song that captures the essence of the movement. Consequently, it laid the foundation of liberation movement of a new nation, what we call now Bangladesh. And ladies and gentlemen, this is the 50th year of anniversary of the independence of the country, Bangladesh.
আমার ভাই রব্বির আলো 21শে ফেব্রুয়ারি আমি কি ভুলিতে পারি আমার ভাই রব্বির আলো 21শে ফেব্রুয়ারি আমি কি ভুলিতে পারি ছেলে হারা শত মায়ের অশ্রু গড়ায় ফেব্রুয়ারি আমি কি ভুলিতে পারি ছেলে হারা শত মায়ের অশ্রু গড়ায় ফেব্রুয়ারি আমি কি ভুলিতে পারি
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Let's move on to the main part. The theme of 2021 International Mother Language Day is fostering multilingualism for inclusion in education and society. And it recognizes the languages and multilingualism can advance inclusion and sustainable development goals. Conflict and Resilience Research Institute support UNESCO's efforts of multilingualism, and it also includes the promotion of universal access to information and knowledge. And also it supports the awareness raising and advocacy for inclusion of indigenous languages in formal education, and at the same time for moving learning back in indigenous communities. Ladies and gents, we have invited esteemed panelists to share their insights on this very day today. And without further ado, let me introduce them now. We have with us His Excellency Honourable High Commissioner for Bangladesh in Canada, Dr. Khalillur Rahman. We have with us Janice, City Councillor, Waverly West Ward, Winnipeg. We have Marvin Rotron, City Councillor, Snowdon, Montreal. And from Bangladesh community, we have Nasrin Masood, President, Canada Bangladesh Association Incorporated. Also, Mr. Khawja Latif, President, Manitoba Bangladesh Bhaban. And finally, Chairperson and Status of Women, Manitoba's NDP, and President, Waverly NDP Constituent Association, Dr. Durdana Islam. So we have full house today. And before I hand over to Dr. Hilal Mohiuddin to run the couple of main themes of UNESCO, once again, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for being with us. Dr. Hilal, floor is yours.
Good evening, distinguished panelists. His Excellency Honourable High Commissioner Dr. Khalillur Rahman, Mr. Marvin Rotron, Janice Lux, Mrs. Nasrin Masood, and Mr. Khawja Latif, and Mrs. Durdana Islam. I will be presenting a small PowerPoint just to give a sense of the theme of this day. So UNESCO declared multilingualism in education as the theme for this year. We are focusing mostly on multilingualism theme for that reason. And to explain that clearly, I am focusing on the situation, current status of the world, language status of the world. Most languages are being extinct. There are endangered languages all over the world. It is a very big problem for many communities that are losing their languages, especially indigenous language. So this year's theme is fostering multilingualism for inclusion in education and society. We know that even in Bangladesh, even in other countries, in Bangladesh, we have 23 different languages. We have seen that we have that language map with us, and I did not have a chance to show that today here. But a snapshot, a very quick snapshot, that it's changing so fast. In 1950s, we had 8,000 languages all over the world, but in 1990s, it became 7,000. In 2010, it became 5,000. In 2000, it became 4,000 languages. Probably it's 3,500 languages at this moment, because one language extincts in every 2 weeks or so. So this is a very grim situation, and UNESCO have been focusing on this problem again and again over the last 3 decades, that we have to do something in that respect. So many indigenous languages are spoken in Canada. Here about 60 in 12 language families, according to Statistics Canada, and approximately 90 languages according to UNESCO, because UNESCO is focusing even different dialects as different parts of multilingual practices of people, especially. So the extinction that is taking place and the languages that are endangered need to be paid special attention and focus so that we can save them everywhere in the world, wherever it is, because 2/3 of the world's languages are at this moment endangered. And 4,040 languages are nearly extinct. Some of them have only 1,000 speakers, because the main dominant language, English, probably has dominated all over the world, and they are losing their languages that way. Like there is another statistics, it's another quick snapshot, that 1,000 languages were spoken in the Americas, and 2011 languages in Africa, 2025 in Europe, about 2,000 in Asia, and about 1,500 in Pacific, including Australia. But there are even other estimates that gives us a very grim picture of the language situation all over the world. Like 90% of the world's languages may vanish within the next century. This is very alarming side of this story. It is about Bangladesh. It is about languages in Bangladesh, how they are doing. It's written in Bengali, a Bengali opinion editorial written by one anthropologist, and he has been focusing that Bangladeshi languages are also being extinct, especially indigenous languages and the languages that are mostly spoken by the hill people. So next slide, please. So this is pretty much it. I don't want to focus more on that, but we are really in alignment with the idea of UNESCO this year. We have been really thinking about having one of these sort of themes by UNESCO, and UNESCO rightly did that this year. And we are, whatever we are doing with in our organization as well, we are focusing multilingualism in education, and we are trying our best to volunteer in any modes, any attempts, anywhere in the world. We are living in Winnipeg in Canada at this moment, and if we can do anything here in Canada for especially indigenous languages, we would be very pleased to extend our cooperation and our assistance to all those organizations that are in need of support from CRRIC, and we would be very pleased to do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Hilal. Now I would like to invite His Excellency, the Honourable High Commissioner for Bangladesh in Canada, Dr. Khalillur Rahman, to speak a few words on this occasion. Ladies and gentlemen, the Honourable High Commissioner for Bangladesh.
Thank you, Dr. Kausar, Dr. Hilal Muhyiddin. I'm really honored to be invited by this CRRIC, yes. And again, good to see Marvin. Nasrin Masood Appa, appreciate our kotha, I spoke with you, Nasrin Masood, and thank you for your support to this deceased three unfortunate Bangladeshi students. You have been doing a great job. Also, Khawja Latif and Durdana Appa, you are also in Winnipeg.
Yes, I live in Winnipeg.
Okay. So, I really want to thank you all. The community there is great. You are extending all the support to them. And of course, Councillor Janice Lewis, I think first time we are meeting, and I'm very happy to be introduced through this webinar. I think Bangladesh is a country, our action in international forum speaks for our commitment. It was Bangladesh, and it was and it is our Honourable Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina who took the trouble, took the initiative to declare the 21st of February, that is also our Language Matter Day, to be recognized and proclaimed as International Mother Language Day by UNESCO. So I don't have to say anything. So it is Bangladesh, and Bangladesh, took this initiative. So our commitment to multi-linguistic, society, a multicultural society is always there. It will be there. And when Dr. Hilal Muhyiddin was showing me this slide on tribal population, this tribal culture, I think you are still Bangladesh. You live there quite often and for a long time every year. So you know very well that our governance structure is very much decentralized. Even at the ward level, village level, we have now elected representatives. So we promote the elected representatives in every village, in every ward, in every union, in every upazila, to do whatever is required to do to promote this multi-linguistic, identity of this society, even at local structure. At the national level, I'm sure, Marvin, you should be also knowing, Councillor Janice, I don't know whether and to what extent you are interested in Bangladesh affairs. But Marvin seems that he is always busy with the Bangladeshi diaspora in Montreal. I'm very happy. And I also like to see Janice Lukes to also work very closely with their community. And you'll see that, what Bangladesh stands for. And our community here, I think they are more active than us. We are in Bangladesh. I'm very proud of the community. They are promoting our culture, our language, and also they are getting used to the local culture here in Canada. So I'm very happy. We are a very accommodative nation. Marvin, I don't know, he's always interested in saying something about Rohingyas, and Bangladesh showed its generosity to extend, our arms and welcome them, receive these 1.1 million Rohingyas, and they are living in Bangladesh still. It's a huge burden for Bangladesh. Now, many countries, many developed countries, even Canada, Marvin, don't please take it otherwise. And Janice, you promised that you will take 25,000 Rohingyas, but you backed out. You do not take. I'm very blunt, unlike other diplomats. What I say, it comes from my heart. I don't believe in this traditional diplomacy, what is called Sato's book of diplomacy, that we are used to be advised to learn. He says something that goes here, not there, not here. Nobody can understand whether you are saying yes or no. So I read that book. I was trained so, but I don't practice that. This is a blunt truth. I'm telling this truth in front of your face. So we did not close our border like what USA did, what President Trump did. They closed the border. They even put the army there to stop this, influx of refugees. So we are committed to promoting this multiculturalism, this multilinguistic structure, and this social fabrics we want to maintain. This is very unfortunate that every 2 weeks a language is being extincted. So that is very sad. And I also saw the figure for Bangladesh. I'm sure Dr. Hilal Muhyiddin, I think this is a UNESCO information maybe, but it is very unfortunate. But what the government policy is that, the local bodies, not only government at the center, in Dhaka, we decentralize the authority to the locally elected bodies like, Councillor Marvin and Councillor Janice, to take every care of every tribe, every linguistic population, ethnic group. And that's how we do, and we protect them. We protect them. When, this Rohingya issues came up, when, the Muslims were killed in Sri Lanka by Buddhists, but we protected Buddhists. Then whatever happened in Sri Lanka, we are not Sri Lankans, we are Bangladeshis. We have to protect our Buddhist population, they're our people. We have to promote and protect their identity, promote and protect their language, and we should ensure their religious freedom. So that we did. Our law enforcing agency rushed up, protect them. It's just, some people, very sad, some people demolished some temples. Government built those temples overnight. Unfortunately, we could not protect it, but as soon as the news broke out, our law enforcing agency ran there, stopped there. We brought the culprits into justice, and we also repaired or rebuilt those demolished or those affected or distracted structures. So that is how the government policy is. When you go to Dhaka during Durga Puja, you will see it's a government holiday. It's a festival, even for Muslims. We go there with our families. So that is how Bangladesh is all about. We believe in secularism. That was one of the principles of our constitution. And we believe in that. I don't want to name, I lived in many countries that is secular by constitution, but communal by practice. I don't want to name. I lived in those countries, but Bangladesh is not that kind of country. We are secular by constitution. We are secular. We practice it. So what I like to say is that our government, our country, our people, they are deeply committed to protect and promote this multilingualism, multiculturalism, to protect all ethnic groups, those who are in Bangladesh. And we expect that the whole world should be so, and will be coming up with the truth. What they say, they should practice. What they say, they should do it. That is what I like to see from our friends in Canada, Marvin, Councillor Janice. I hope one day you will be MP, senator in this country, and I want to see you raising your voice in favor of promoting and protecting this multiculturalism and multilingualistic society. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your part. It's very encouraging. So at this point in time, let me welcome Councillor Janice Lux for her deliberation. And the audience, she just uploaded a beautiful clip yesterday. Most of us, we have seen, and I mean, she might share with us or not, we don't know. But Councillor Janice Lux, ma'am, floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And thank you very much, all the distinguished guests that we have here today to have this conversation. I feel very honored and privileged that I was asked. Thank you, Alal, for putting all of this together and whoever arranged it. So, Mr. High Commissioner, I have had an incredible experience over the last 6 years of being elected. Not as long as Councillor Marvin, mind you. 6 years is just very brief compared to Councillor Marvin. But I've had an incredible experience. I represent one of the most multicultural, diverse areas in the city of Winnipeg. And life is very interesting because before I got married and had kids, I had a passion to travel the world. And I went to many, I didn't get to Bangladesh, but I got to many countries where English was absolutely not the first language. And I would get to, like Vietnam, Thailand, Japan, and the inability to communicate was stifling. It was unbelievable, as you well know. So then I came back and I got married. I had kids. I'm in this amazing position where I have the incredible opportunity to interact with all of these communities in the area that I represent. And I was just so honored to be welcomed into the Bangladesh community in Winnipeg. It's not a huge community, but the area that I represent also has the University of Manitoba, where we have many international students. And for the greater part of my first term, I worked to try and ensure safe accommodation for international students because we didn't have a lot of safe housing. So I got to know the community more and more. And I would go to these incredible Bangladesh productions, celebrations and parties, and was just mesmerized by the talent and the beauty and the cultural respect for the parents with the children. And then I started talking to some of the leaders in the community, and we started talking about international mother language and the Shahid Minar and the whole story. And, there's so much to learn in the world. And I will be honest, I honestly knew nothing about all of this. and it was incredible. Like I've been led down this path of understanding from the Bangladesh community and felt so passionate about it that at the grassroots level, because councillors work at the grassroots level, we're down here, Mr. High Commissioner, and we work with the people. And so we started raising money and we started talking about the mother language in Winnipeg, and we started talking to the schools and to our Indigenous community. And we've raised, I don't even know how much we've raised, over 150,000, I think. And we're building this beautiful Shaheed Minar so that we, in a very popular park, so that we can use it to be a bridge to talk about all the different languages and the importance of language. And all of this started with the Bangladesh community. And so it's so important. And it's just something, you know, I think Canadians are I think we're naive in a lot of ways because we've lived and we've grown up in such privilege, and we just can't comprehend losing our language. We can't comprehend our language being threatened. We just can't comprehend that. But for people who've traveled and for the community that's come to Winnipeg, so many understand that. And I just have strongly become so involved in this project and want to share. And we're starting out in the Waverly West Ward. We've got other councillors throughout the city that have contributed to this project. Our Indigenous community is involved. And it's just slowly but growing, you know, and for me to be able to play a tiny little role in helping people understand the importance of language and the rights of language, it's an incredible honor. And these people we see on the screen here from Winnipeg are just inspirations in our community. So, and I'm just very fortunate to be able to work with them. So I look forward to continuing this on as long as I'm a councillor, and after, hopefully I'll be around maybe as long as Marvin here, but in this role. But it's just very, very positive experience. I could go on, but there's lots to talk about.
Thank you, Councillor Janice. Very inspiring, super inspiring. And we really appreciate your support. We know how much you support various, requests that come forth from the community. Thank you once again on behalf of the community. At this point in time, let me also welcome Councillor Marvin Rotron. As His Excellency rightly mentioned, Marvin is involved with Bangladeshi community in Montreal for years, and he is an avid and passionate supporter of Shaheed Minar in the city itself. Maybe someday it will come true. Marvin, without further ado, floor is yours, sir.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to start by telling Councillor Janice, and I shouldn't give you any advice after 6 years, but like you, I represent a very multi-ethnic and multiracial part of Montreal, the Snowdon district in the borough of Côte-des-Neiges, Notre-Dame-de-Grâce. Our borough is 170,000 people. 50% of our population in the borough are made of composed of visible minorities, most of whom are foreign born, come from the four corners of the world. And we are lucky to have a large Asian population, including from countries like the Philippines and Vietnam, China, India, and of course, Bangladesh. And these are our neighbors and friends. And I'll come back to this theme in a moment because I think it defines who we've become in Canada and some of the values that we cherish as Canadians, which are values that are actually celebrated by International Mother Language Day. This is my 6th event this weekend, and I have a City Council day tomorrow between 8 a.m. and 10 p.m. So I'll just say a little bit more briefly than perhaps I would have if it would have been my first event of the weekend on International Mother Language Day. Earlier today, at another similar event organized by a group in Montreal, I got to meet Abdes Salam for the first time. He lives in the Vancouver area, and he was one of the people who initially lobbied UNESCO for a day to recognize linguistic plurality, and particularly February 21st is International Mother Language Day. I won't say he's alone, because apparently he was one of 10, but he sounded pretty much like one of the real motivating forces, proving the power of one, how one individual can change the world. Because the adoption by UNESCO and then the United Nations General Assembly of International Mother Language Day has done so much good in the world and attracted our attention to the fragility of so many languages, the need to preserve, but even more so, the need to understand language is a fundamental determinant of culture, but moreover, it's a different way of seeing reality. My way of seeing it might be subtly different than yours. And by understanding languages, we enrich our own understanding of the world around us, but we also learn to be tolerant and accepting. And International Mother Language Day cherishes that. So I was, fascinated, enthralled to listen to Abdel Salam explain how they beat the deadline by only one day to get it into UNESCO. And that actually it was from here in Canada that the demand started. And yet, yes, Bangladesh was a sponsoring country. And the Prime Minister of Bangladesh did give the support and did help to get this done by UNESCO and eventually through the UN. And it's a wonderful thing because International Mother Language Day is not only fundamental to how Bangladeshis define themselves, and let's go right the way back to 1952 when the demonstrations began, because in the country of Pakistan at the time, 60% of the population spoke Bangla, or Bengali as we call it here, and it wasn't even an official language, not recognized in state functions, not recognized in the courts or the parliament. And as such, a movement for recognition was rebuffed, met with violence, and it gave rise to national consciousness, a new sense of national identity in Bangladesh. Ultimately, that led in part to the movement that eventually demanded more democracy in the country of Pakistan and eventually led to independence of Bangladesh. And Bangladeshis have always cherished their demands for the recognition of their language and, moreover, the value of linguistic plurality. So I think it was rather apt that they became the sponsoring country at UNESCO to demand that we all look at this particular day as something special and unique that should be recognized as part of mankind's intangible cultural heritage. And that's exactly what it's become. It surpasses Bangladesh. It's a value that all of us must look at. And as Canadians, we've begun to understand the importance of this day. I'd like to tell the High Commissioner, because I forgot to mention it at the earlier event that you were at today with me, that the Parliament of Canada has already adopted Bill C-573 that was sponsored by Matthew Kelway to promote International Mother Language Day, and that was adopted in 2014. And there have been motions in Edmonton and in the Vancouver region, and in Montreal, we have adopted, as recently as 3 weeks ago, a motion again to recognize the importance of International Mother Language Day, not only the Bangladeshi community, but as a value we should all cherish. On the 10th anniversary, our first adopting it in 2011. And I understand Toronto has actually adopted a motion to put up a monument, Shahid Minar, in Dentona Park in Toronto to emulate other cities like London, which have done the same. And these are statements not only to say to Bangladeshi Canadians, you are welcome among us, as Toronto is saying, but it also says the value of linguistic plurality and multilingualism and all that it represents is an important value for everyone. So let me get back to modern day Canada. We have a racist past in this country, which is one of the things I will be saying this week at City Council on one of the motions that deals with amnesty for undocumented workers who are in Canada actually and who are threatened with deportation during the COVID pandemic. And in Europe, many countries have shown generosity and tolerance and leniency during this time. And one of my fellow councillors has asked me to second a motion asking for the Council to lobby the Government of Canada for the same type of leniency at this current time and for maybe a change in our outlook. Canada has a history of being the country of the two founding peoples with only two languages, English and French, with English very dominant, and those who aren't white not particularly welcome. We had a history that included a Chinese head tax, a Chinese Exclusion Act, a law that didn't actually ban British subjects from Asia from coming here, but told you that if you lived in British India, which included at that time Bangladesh, and even included Burma at the time, that you could come here, but only if you came here directly, knowing that not a single shipping company had a direct route from Calcutta or somewhere else in British India to Canada. And we've had incidents in Canada in 1912 and 1914 with shiploads of Sikh immigrants were banned from coming here into the country and sent back home. And not only that, we had a period of time when Jewish refugees from Nazism couldn't come into Canada. The St. Louis was not allowed to dock in Halifax Harbor, was sent back to Germany, where 2/3 of the passengers eventually died in Nazi concentration camps. It was only with Pierre Elliott Trudeau and laws adopted in late 1960s and early 1970s that we began to have an immigration policy in this country based on merit, not on racial origin. And as such, we've become one of the most multicultural countries in the world. I'm proud to be a Canadian. I'm proud to be a Canadian because what is now most fundamental to our self-identity is acceptance of our neighbors. It doesn't matter who your grandfather or grandmother was, it's who you are. And as Canadians, we cherish languages. We cherish them in the sense that you can have a hyphen in your name. You can be a Bangladeshi Canadian. You can be proud both of being a Bangladeshi and a Canadian, or a Filipino and a Canadian, or Jewish and a Canadian, or Italian and a Canadian. And we promote as well programs that urge people to not forget their language of origin. Here in Quebec, we have a program d'enseignement de langue d'origine. It's a program to teach the language of origin. Sometimes the third or fourth generation kids whose great-grandparents were the ones who emigrated here, or beyond that, so that they have a chance to understand who their grandparents were and communicate with them, or their great-grandparents, or even their parents. Because in Canada, of all the G7 countries, we are second in terms of foreign-born. Over 20% of our population comes from elsewhere. And many people speak a first language at home that is not one of the official languages of this country. However, we cherish this linguistic diversity and we want to preserve it. We want people to be able to speak the language of their ancestors and the languages of the country. And we promote bilingual education, English and French, and we promote knowing another language as well. I can tell you, I'll never be a polyglot. I am, as Councillor Janice pointed out, the Dean of the Montreal Council. I'm on my 39th year consecutively in office. But guess what? I do give most of my speeches in French, and I'm proud of it. I'm proud of it, right? And I remember my first speech back in 1982. The gentleman I defeated in the election, who turned out actually to be a quite fine gentleman, first item on the first council meeting after the election, he gets appointed as a commissioner of the Transit Commission for 5 years without having to face an election at twice his former salary. So I guess he must have really liked me. And I gave a speech. Nobody reacted, and I was surprised. And someone turned to me and said, "It's not that your speech was bad, but most of the councillors didn't understand you. You spoke in English, and they don't understand English." Well, things have changed a bit in Quebec. We're much more bilingual. The English community is, and even the Francophone community is pretty bilingual. So I learned French, and I'm proud of the fact that I'm bilingual and that most of the councillors are, and language isn't really an issue for us. Values are issue. We have different points of view, but we try to do the best for our citizens. So allow me to say that language can be sensitive in Canada. There is a necessity to protect French in Canada and to assure that Francophones are able to live and work in French. And I support government measures to do that. At the same time, we have to be sensitive to the fact that there are minorities outside of Quebec, Francophone minorities, and they need support. And we have to be sensitive to the fact there's an English-speaking minority in Quebec with a history, that goes back centuries, with culture as well. And they too need to have to be protected in terms of access to schools and promotion of their ability to promote their language as well, but in respect of French and the common language that we use in Quebec. Having said all that, I want to thank Dr. Khawja and Dr. Halal for having organized this event. Your webinar is extremely important in bringing important issues to people across the country that are often ignored by mainstream think tanks. Right at the moment, I would like all of us here to think of the situation in Myanmar. I just read a couple of very shocking articles before coming online of police shooting live ammunition into crowds, people being killed. There is going to be the need of the international community to step up. City Council in Montreal this week will talk about the plight of the Rohingya and the need to help them, the need to give aid to them and to support Bangladesh, which is generously hosting over 1 million refugees, to work towards a political solution to this problem, but in the interim to hold those who are responsible for the genocide accountable to the International Court of Justice, to open our doors to refugees as we did to the Syrians years and years ago, and finally to work with our allies, not only to sanction the guilty, but to open the road towards democracy in Myanmar. Respect for languages and cultures will be part of that. I truly hope we will find a solution that will allow the people of Myanmar, and there are many different peoples who form that state, a way to live together in peace and harmony under democracy with respect for their different origins and their different languages. I thank you. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you, Marvin. Merci beaucoup. Ladies and gentlemen, this speech comes from his 39 years of experience serving as councillors, and it is amazing. Thank you, Marvin, and your continuous support to the causes that is very close to Bangladesh. And to with this note, also we are going to approach our own Councillor Janice in the future to promote and lobby some of the motions that Marvin has already brought, just so that you are aware you are going to receive a lot of requests from us in the near future. So at this point in time, let's welcome Nasrin Masood. She's the President, Canada-Bangladesh Association Incorporated, and she led the community for nearly a couple of years. And let's hear her insights on this occasion. Ma'am, floor is yours.
Salam and good day, everyone. I thank all the honorable guests who are attending here and the honorable organizers who have given me the platform. I am glad to meet the Honourable High Commissioner first time. By virtually, he is always in contact regarding this three student issue. So first thing I just want to say that our community is going through a very difficult time. So we had a program, 21st February at 7 o'clock, but we cancelled it because our student community is totally devastated. So we are trying to send the bodies to Bangladesh, but there are a lot of paperwork we need to deal with. So all the paperwork will start from Monday, and by Thursday we might have an idea when the body will be transported. So you can understand the situation in our community, but I really appreciate everybody's help, including Janice in the community. She is always here for us, and she has supported us and gave us many opportunities to interact and express ourselves. So I will just try to stay in my own community, but the thing is, the few things I want to mention that we live in a multicultural society in Canada, and we are very proud of it. And we showcase our heritage, Bangladesh heritage, whenever we have opportunity. Canada-Bangladesh Association celebrate all the historic days of Bangladesh heritage and culture. Today, the 21st February, that 1952 language movement, martyrs, we remember them. That for them, we are now actually Bengali speak in Bengali in proud, voice. But everything has sacrifice, and somebody sacrificed before. That's why we are here. And International, Mother Language Day, that's recognized in 1999. Is maybe we can say that those people are, gave their life in 1952, might have paved the path for this one. So I'm also proud of my country, because the Bangla, my native country where I came from, because Bangla language is now, got a big, very, strong foundation to progress more. So one thing I have to say regarding Rohingya issue is that I think international community need to look into that very carefully, because Bangladesh is a per capita income, and so many population, that then the burden of the Rohingya people that given to on the shoulder of the, poor or developing country is not a good thing in terms of humanity. We talk about humanity so much, But when you practice, we need to see what is the capacity of those countries. You are putting the millions of people in somebody's shoulder who they cannot feed their own native people. So there is international common sense and conscience should be there. Same thing I have to say about the vaccine issue. When I see G7 countries hoarding vaccine, millions and billions in their storage and backyard, and not helping the underdeveloped country to distribute those through who, there is a moral issue here. Okay, I cannot be safe until I make other people safe. So that way we know that it's to take a village to raise a good kid. When you talk about multiculturalism, when we talk about linguistic issue, when we talk inclusiveness, that is the main thing. We need to feel that we belong somewhere. And standardization of culture, standardization of language is a cultural occupation. Okay, a country, you can do economic occupation, but you also somewhere we are doing cultural occupation, that is demoralizing people. Okay, so it's better that we include people, we take different program to to encourage people to talk in their mother tongue. So whatever it is we are doing, we are going maybe in the right direction. We learn from our mistake, or maybe learn from our path we travel. But in Bangladeshi community, we're trying to foster the native language. People can talk or willing to talk. So we have a school here. We trying to give some lesson to our next generation. It might not be as a mother language. It might be, they might take it as a learning another language. Because if we tell them to speak in Bengali in our children, then we are doing the same thing, telling them don't talk mother language. Okay, their mother language English and French. So if you tell them that don't talk in that, we are doing the same thing what has happened in 1952. So only way we can introduce the Bengali language or mother tongue to a new generation is that encourage them, tell them, okay, this learn another language. So the Bangladeshi people, we are doing everything. Although CBA is the representing the community, but we are facilitating all the organizational, who are trying to do thing here. Like Manitoba, Bangladesh, Bhaban, they are trying to build a, Shahid Minar, that's called International Mother Language Plaza, but it's totally a community effort. Okay, some people got involved, and then they are volunteering their time, money, or their expertise. Many academics, many engineers, many social workers are involved there. So it's we are living as a family. We are trying to do things for the community. But I'm honored, and I see that this kind of program trying to encourage inclusiveness, and this is the character of this society. Canada is a multicultural society, and we are trying to promote that idea. So I just want to say that in this difficult time in Bangladesh community, I try to attend to encourage you all to keep on working what is right, and keep everybody in our prayers. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nasrin Masood, for your words, and these are very encouraging. And just for the audience's appraisal, Nasrin Masood always responded to our invitation to come for the seminars that we arranged earlier for the Rohingyas. Thank you, Nasrin Masood, for your support. So let's welcome Khawja Latif, President, Manitoba, Bangladesh, Bhaban, MBB, who is leading the charge in Winnipeg to build the Shahid Minar International Language Plaza that the president of CBA just mentioned. And it's an honor to have Khawja Latif with us this evening. So floor is yours, sir. Please go ahead. Just unmute the mic, Mr. Khawja.
Anyway.
Yeah, good.
Am I
yeah,
okay.
Yeah, you're good.
Assalamu alaikum. Good evening, all distinguished guests. I'm really proud to be here on this great day with all of you and speak on the great day of 21st February, which we know as International Mother Language Day. Thank you very much for the invitation. And in fact, original intention was to say something else, but when Janice Lake saying her tiny little role, that made me change my total speaking point. She is the driving force, basically. She is our prime mover here in this community. Thank you, Janice. She is our prime mover in all our occasions, but for this project, she is the prime mover. She is the basically leader. We are trying to follow her. The very first day I met her in our Poila Boishakh অনুষ্ঠান, I think I just approached her. The glimmer of hope I saw in her face, glimmer of enthusiasm I saw in her language. I just approached her next day, and she was so happy to accommodate us. And the first day we went to the City Council, to City Hall, to show them what we are trying to talk about. She snapped it and said, "Go ahead, just do some tiny fundraising. I'm with you guys." And from that very first day, she never wavered from her support whatsoever. When the first day I said her, we have around $20,000. Okay, go ahead, I am with you guys. Then, in this country, getting something done is supposed to be easy, and it is easy, but you have to go through labyrinth of different permit process, different accommodating process, design, this and that. We thought it's going to be very easy and a small project. It grew from very simple sign permit to a full-blown building permit. And it's supposed to be one single drawing or one single consultant. Now we have 3. And all this the way. And this is not the permit only. Then it's come from all this funding application was also done by Janice Lake on her support. We have raised $135,000 altogether. We still are working for another donation application. She's helping us. If I go on and on, it'll take a long time. But basic thing is a councillor support for a local project is the vital. And her guidance, because we are learning by doing. We didn't do it before. We didn't know how city council work. We don't know how province work. We don't know exactly how to and where to approach. And she showed us the path. Not only that, see, the way both of we have, I think maybe 100 different meetings or meet, I don't know, maybe more. We always have discussed it. Today you can see the sign on Pembina Highway. It's her. Though we are behind it, but it's her. It's her own enthusiasm. We can see 21st February, Mother Language Day, and all is one Bangla language, Matribhasha Divas. Thank you, Janice. We cannot thank you enough. Thank you so much. And another thing to know, she's always, last time she was elected by acclamation. Thank you, Janice. Second thing we want to go is this project is almost at the end. So we have almost enough money. Maybe we'll be short by $10,000 or $15,000. We'll get it from somewhere. Anyway, so but how we are going to use it? We already have a plan. We are talking with neighborhood, different groups of the neighborhood, different multicultural groups, different nationalities. We have started talking, but it had stopped around September last year because of COVID. We have approached indigenous people. In fact, we have changed our design to accommodate indigenous theme, like Medicine Wheel. Then we have approached local indigenous college. We have approached UNESCO school. We have approached Pembina Trail School Division. And we are trying to form a group after this project is finished or before it is finished. We are trying to form a group that they will celebrate International Mother Language Day, not Bangladesh. There will be no Bangladesh alone. It will be a multicultural celebration of mother language. Everybody has mother language. It's not for any one nation or two nations. Everybody has mother language. And most of us, or each and every one of us who are immigrants from different countries, we always meet our mother language. Why we do that? Because when you are uprooted from your own community, we are simply cut off from your culture, for your music, from your poetry, you name it. And after struggling for your life, for economy, for establishment, when you contemplate of your life, you can see there is a void left behind. What is that? Your sons, daughters grew up with different language. They don't speak your language anymore. They don't have almost no connection with your culture. That day, if you go out there and feel or contemplate what I have lost to achieve this Canada or achieve this another country, I have lost my own identity. This would be a place we want to present as a place for contemplation, of people will come and they will talk and speak or discuss about their lost identities. Identity, not only identity, in fact, it's also lost signs of their local environment, signs regarding their own nature, signs regarding their own music and culture. We are trying to promote that program that will come together and show that we are a multicultural society and coming from all over the world and made Canada more beautiful than it was before by adding our own color, adding our own culture in a Canadian theme. That's our main objective. There will be Bangladesh, but like any other nation there. There will be a culture like any other culture there. We'll all respected and we'll have equal partners. And if COVID goes over, then by August, September, we'll have our first celebration with the newly constructed International Mother Language Plaza with the international theme. We already have in discussion, but we have not designed yet. We are, in fact, I already have contacted Vancouver people like Councillor Marvin, Rotron, talking about Samad, and then there is one guy, Aminul Islam. He is promoting international mother language and culture thing. I already have a connection with them. I already have contacted with other people in Halifax and other places. We are trying to design a kind of program that will include and inclusive of all kind of cultures and heritage come in a place where we'll be respected and regarded as one Canada with different culture and multiculturalism. That's our aim is. So, thank you very much.
You are mute. You are mute. Unmute yourself, please.
Thank you so much for mentioning it. Dear audience, it's very interesting to note the progress of the monument coming in very soon, and please tune in for the news of the inauguration of the monument. So at this point, let's welcome Dr. Durdana Islam, and she is the Chairperson Status of Women Manitoba's NDP, and we are also heading to the end of our session. So Dr. Durdana, floor is yours. Go ahead, ma'am.
Thank you so much. I would like to first thank Conflict and Resilience Research Institute, CRRIC, Dr. Kausar Ahmed and Dr. Hilal Muhyiddin to arrange this event today. And I must say that I'm very thankful and humble to be here. It was a pleasure to meet His Excellency High Commissioner Dr. Khalillur Rahman. And thank you for all your support that Nasrin Auntie has told from the community. So I'd like to thank you that. And I am so amazed to hear Marvin Rotron speak. Like, you've been an elected official for 39 years. I'm in my early 40s, so I was just a little kid when you were an elected official. And I was thinking, oh my God, I can learn so much from you. So it's such a pleasure to meet you here all. And my councillor, Janice is here. And they've worked in a couple of projects together. And I have so much respect for you, Janice, and for the work that you have done for our community. I'd like to say thank you to you as well through this event. And I would also like to thank Nasrin Masood, especially at this time of crisis, how you brought the community together and leading the community in this time of crisis. So thank you so much. And Khawja Latif Bhai, I have immense respect for you for the work you're doing. So thank you so much. And before I start my speech, I would like to say something in Bengali, and that is, Ami Banglai kotha boli, Ami Banglai gan gai, Ami amar amike chirodin ei Banglai khuje pai. What it means in English is that what I said was, I speak in Bengali, I sing in Bengali, I find my own soul in Bengal. And this is one of our very favorite songs that I love. The reason why I started my speech speaking in Bengali is I read something that Nelson Mandela has once said, if you speak in a language that a man understands, that goes into his head. But if you speak in a language that is his mother tongue, it goes in his heart. So I started speaking from my heart. And that is, I am Bangladeshi, I am Canadian, I'm a mother of 2 amazing kids. And I'm a teacher. I teach at the University of Winnipeg. And I am the chairperson of Status of Women in Manitoba NDP. I wear different hats. But when Dr. Councillor Ahmed asked me to come and speak, he asked me to talk from my experience working with Indigenous community in Manitoba. Through my doctoral and postdoctoral studies, I had the privilege to work with Northern Manitoba communities. I worked in Garden Hill community, Garden Hill First Nation. I worked in Sugging First Nation and also in Norway House Cree Nation. I lived there for a long time for my PhD research. So what I learned working with Indigenous communities is the way we struggle, like when we come to Bangladesh, like if we are not First Nation, Inuit or Métis, we are somebody who immigrated from somewhere, as Marvin was saying, that maybe 4th generation, 5th generation. I'm a 1st generation immigrant. So our language is different from the language where we lived than when we are here. And when I was doing some research, what I found out was, according to Cultural Development Research Institute, if you lose your first language, that is your mother tongue, and get used to that second language. English is my second language. I can speak a bit French too, Marvin. I can speak Hindi, I can speak Urdu. But problem is, the research says that if somebody loses their first language and gets used to the second language, what happens is that their academic excellence, I'm a teacher, so when you become educated and higher educated, if you know your first language, that helps you excel your academic career further, which I had no idea about. So it is very, very important to know your mother language and be able to speak and read that. And as my role of Status of Women, Chair of Status of Women in Manitoba NDP, I have the opportunity of working with women from different backgrounds in Manitoba. So what I would do is that from my role, I would be talking about this importance and why it is important that we still speak our mother language at home. And there are 5 suggestions I would say that we can do as a parent at home. Like maybe we can listen to TVs or radios that speaks the same language. Like for instance, for me, I can speak, we can have Bengali TV at home so that my kids can understand and speak, and also reading books. And it is very important that at home we speak that language. I have seen that in Indigenous communities where elders are speaking the language and their grandparents, grandkids are sitting with them and learning that language. And also in Manitoba, there are many Indigenous entrepreneurs who develop apps. I will give you an example of Ogoki language app. And he's a good friend of mine. He developed that app to make sure that his kids learn the OG Cree language, Ojibwe language that his grandparents have spoken. So this is very important. Number one, the research has already shown that you have to have your mother language intact and you have to practice that to be able to excel in whatever career you are in or whatever way you want to excel in academically. And that was the UNESCO multilingualism that it says about. So I don't want to add more. So what I want to say here is that thank you so much. I'm very, very humbled to be here with all of you. It was an honor. And thank you again, Dr. Councillor Ahmed and Dr. Hilal Mohiuddin, to invite me. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Durdana. It's really encouraging to have a well-rounded discussion on the Indigenous language and the preservation of the language in today's context. So, dear audience, we are just at the end of our session today. And as we started our session with His Excellency Honourable High Commissioner for Bangladesh in Canada, we'd like to conclude and request him to say the last words today. And as he finishes, I will take over again for another 10-30 seconds to explain what Conflict Resilience Research Institute Canada is underdoing. So without losing any more time, Honourable High Commissioner, sir, floor is yours again.
Is my
I think audio has some issues here. Can you try again, sir? Or you can log back again, sir. We'll hold on. We can log back. As he comes in, dear audience, today is a special session, as you all understand, to commemorate the Language Martyr Day. But we have invited honorable guests to share their ideas with us. So the High Commissioner is, sir, you can go ahead now.
Yeah, can you hear me now? Okay. Okay.
Yes.
No, I think this is a kind of partiality. I am so sorry to take the floor again, but I heard a lot of things. Our communities in Janice area, they are doing a lot of things with your support. So I thank you on behalf of the government of Bangladesh that you are providing so much support like Marvin has been doing for 39 years. So I think I really want you to be MP or senator. I don't want you to continue as councillor for 39 years. So that is my wish and pray. I guess there are a lot of students from Bangladesh in Manitoba. I think Dr. Durdana, I'm sure you should be knowing all the students. So I was wondering if we can have a kind of center that can undertake some studies on Bangladesh, including Marvin, your pet issues, and that is also our pet issues, because we really want this crisis to be resolved, that is on Rohingya issue. So I think you look into this proposal, whether there is a center that can be established in Manitoba University in some college or somewhere. And as High Commissioner of Bangladesh, I'll be very pleased to extend any kind of support that we could render to that initiative. About one thing I just announced when I was addressing our event here, that Bangladesh High Commission, that is my decision I have taken, that we would be setting up a center, Bangabandhu Cultural Center in the Bangladesh High Commission, that will promote our language, that will promote languages of other ethnic groups in Canada. And I think the cultural organizations working in Canada, promoting our culture, our language, we really like to facilitate your work. We like to be part of your good work you are doing. So that center, I hope, will be working, start working very soon. And the current government of Sheikh Hasina, who took the initiative of sponsoring this resolution to declare 21st of February as IMLD, she has been giving us the guidance to promote our this multiculturalism, to promote our own language, our own culture in the foreign countries. The 78 missions now of Bangladesh working in different corners of this world, and every embassies, every missions has been instructed to promote this thing. And we'll be very pleased to work with not only with our communities that are promoting, like Khawja Latif, you are saying that you are also going to do something for the indigenous community. So that is also our agenda, also our priority. So we really like our people, our community to be involved in the ethnic groups in Canada itself. So that is my pledge to you. As I have said in the beginning, we believe in this multiculturalism, multilinguistic ethnic groups. So please count on us, and we will be on your side. And Dr. Kaushal and Dr. Hilal Muhyiddin, I really thank you both for having organized this webinar and kindly inviting me to be part of this thing. And I when you sent me the invitation, I thought I must be there. And you told me, enticed me that Marvin Rotron would be there. So then I thought, oh, this gentleman is there, I should be there, because he's a very good friend of Bangladesh. And Janice, you have already become a good friend. We want you to be a better friend, best friend. And I really want you to go up, to come to Ottawa so that we can work together very soon. Thank you so much once again for connecting me.
Thank you, His Excellency, for your concluding remarks. So, dear audience, here we end today with a very big note. Let me also apprise you, Conflict and Resilience Research Institute Canada undertakes research on global and local conflict issues and conflict transformation through peace-building works. At this point in time, we are working on 2 education projects for the Rohingya adolescents in the camps. and we look forward to undertake another large project of remote learning soon. And also, as I'm echoing with His Excellency's word, that Conflict and Resilience Research Institute is also working towards the establishment of Bangabandhu Center for South Asian and Bangladesh Studies very soon. And we have planned to inaugurate the center on 26th of March, which is next month, hopefully, and we are working towards that.
I want to join on the inauguration.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Appreciate it, sir. Your encouragement very much. And just to, before we end, Dr. Hilal and I, we are also lobbying Canadian Museum of Human Rights to enroll exhibits of 1952 language movement and to recognize the genocide that was perpetrated against the nation of Bangladesh in 1971. So we had already had first meeting with the vice president of the museum, and we are going to work hard and harder so that these two exhibits take place and gets its home in one and only Canadian Museum of Human Rights. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, with deep respect to the language martyrs who sacrificed their lives in 1952, here we end. And thank you once again on behalf of Conflict and Resilience Research Institute, esteemed panelists, and His Excellency for being with us for almost 1 hour, 11 minutes and 30 seconds. Thank you. Stay well, stay fine, and stay safe. Goodbye.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
So
you,
I'm very
everyone.
proud of